Hi, Kathleen. It's so great to be here with you again today. Can you tell me? I want to talk about mindfulness and compassion and what's the difference and why it's important to know the difference between these two
You know,
entities.
yeah, Maureen, I think it's one of the most important things that's happened in my viewpoint as a dietitian, as a coach, as a parent. And I wish I would have known the research around compassion. It's relatively new within the last 10, 20 years, Kristen Neff's work. And it is really important because we have been asking people to be mindful, and I have developed a mindfulness or meditative deep relaxation practice my whole career. So there was research always about stress and the impact. But when we ask people to be mindful, let's say be mindful of eating and how much you're eating, and if you're full and if you're satisfied, but when you do that, you're judging yourself and you feel bad, or you've experienced trauma and you have a really hard time connecting with your body because it wasn't safe to connect with your body. And so that could be for a number of reasons. It could be that you were physically abused, or it could be that food insecurity was a problem. Sometimes you were able to have enough food to feel satisfied, and sometimes you weren't. And so you ate and ate and ate and ate when food was there. And so you couldn't listen to your body or trust your body because there wasn't that safety and security there for you. So, compassion, what that does is when you go in and you're present for anything that you're feeling, is that you're making it okay. And you're not saying because you feel, bloated in your stomach, that that means anything. It's just, oh, with curiosity. Isn't that interesting? I feel bloated. And then you're not labeling yourself around the feeling. And so mindfulness, you're going into the experience and you're being present in the present moment to accept this is where I am right now. This is what this feels like. But compassion cares for the experiencer. So as I'm doing that, I'm like, oh, Kathleen, this is what you're feeling right now. And again, separating from that feeling. And with compassion, what we do is we pull up the words, this is human suffering. This is what it feels like to be in my body right now. This is what it feels like, instead of judging it. We just label it. It's kind of like the way that we try to train kids. It reminds me of trying to do emotion work with kids, trying to find your words. When we ask them,
Yeah.
find your words, communicate with me, so that they can actually communicate what's going on for them. So we better know how to respond. And with mindfulness, we say, what am I experiencing right now? But with compassion, we say, what do we need right now? And so, like, any experience is okay. It doesn't mean good or bad, right or wrong. But if we learned at one point that it was right or wrong or good or bad, which a lot of us do, like it's not okay to be angry. It's not okay to speak in a certain way. It's not okay to need to go to the bathroom in the middle of a class, for Pete's sake. So that's the kind of thing that really is important to differentiate. And with mindfulness, when we pull up that suffering, and what happened with me is it would be really hard to sit. I have lots of people who will say, I'm not a very good meditator. I just can't meditate. It doesn't make sense to me. It's never gelled with me because there's so much pain. Like when we sit, all this stuff comes up. What am I supposed to do with it? Because I know I'm not doing it right. When really the idea with mindfulness is that we're taking a deep breath and we're being present for what is. And then with compassion, we can be kind for whatever it is. So we bring kindness with the idea that we're naming the suffering and we're not enmeshing with the suffering, and we're not saying that we're a certain kind of person because we're feeling this way, that we're making it safe. But if we've gone through trauma, or we've been labeled, or we've been told, like for me, I was a scaredy cat, I was a crybaby. So if those emotions come up, then maybe it might not be safe to express that because I'm going to get these name called, and then it means something's wrong with me. So with the compassion part, it offers that freedom to just accept what is, call it what is, and not identify with it. So then I'm not judging it and thinking about, why am I feeling this way? Why am I feeling this way? I have to fix it. Instead, just make more space. And with mindfulness, we know if we can hold that and hold it open and just hold that space without judgment and breathe, so that we're stimulating the relaxation response in our body and we're getting out of fight and flight. And we have to do this over time to trust that we can do this and still be safe, especially if we come from a traumatic or an abusive upbringing or background, or it could be even a marriage that someone's in right now, or a work situation that's traumatic, or the pandemic, which is traumatic. Is if we can do it with kindness and keep coming back to the breath and go, oh yeah, there goes my mind. Oh yeah, there goes my judgment. I'm going to keep bringing it back with kindness, knowing that that's the nature of the mind, to do this with kindness. Then what we can do is we can actually bring more calm to our life, bring more acceptance to our life, bring more space, so that I'm not reacting. I'm actually choosing, what I'm going to do next. I'm responding with choice, and I can bring focus and attention to anything I want that's meaningful for me.
I love this. As you're talking about this, that's why I just tried to find, I have something that's called the thought model. Have you, where you have a thought and then you have your response to the thought, and then you say your feelings, and then what action you're going to take and the results. I think that's
Uh-huh.
have you heard of this?
I haven't heard of it called that.
But so after my dad died, I gained a lot of weight. I just fed my sorrow, and and so I used that and reframed my thoughts. So I would write down my thoughts like, oh my God, you're always going to just be fat, and then, but I would reframe it. And so I would write the negative thought and go through it. And then I would reframe it in this positive. And it was a way to show my self-compassion. So as you're saying all this is what I have been, I just brought off all these feelings. And that's when I was finally, after like 11 years of stuffing my feelings and stuff, being able to finally release and be mindful and realize that it was okay, and that I was on this journey and I could work through it with mindfulness and compassion for myself. So I just love this topic that you've talked about.
I love that framework because it's very practical, and that's how we have to be. We have to be practical. And I like what you said, being really consistent. And
Yes.
what that did, Maureen, is it separated you as a person and judgment of yourself. This is my thought, this is my feeling, and this is what I'm going to do. And you have to have the ability to create that space for yourself and tolerate that. And it takes courage, and it takes consistency,
Yes.
discipline to keep doing it.
Well,
So
especially when I had tried so hard over the years and nothing I did, would work. I just had given up so many times. I remember I'd worked out with a trainer for 2 years straight, and I was in better physical shape, but I hadn't really lost any weight. And
yeah.
I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm working out so hard. But working with that thought model and giving myself compassion, it just
Mhm.
like changed the ballgame for me. So I
Good for
think
you.
just
I'm so
one,
glad you shared that. So we need to know that it works.
it does work.
Courage
When
to
we
go in.
when we're compassionate to ourselves and we're mindful about what we're doing, it does work.
Yeah.
So
Thank you.
thank you so much for sharing this, Kathleen. It's so valuable and important, and it's a gift.
Yeah.
So
Well,
how can
good.
people reach you if they want to get in touch with you?
Yeah, you can reach me directly from my websites, kathleenputnam.net or nutritionworksseattle.com or nomorefoodtrauma.com. So
I
a few
love that
different
one.
places.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Thank you
we'll be
so much
back.
for sharing this.
We'll talk more about compassion.
Okay. Thanks so much.